Okay, welcome back. This is 3 by 5. I'm the 3, he's the 5. This is Christopher Mark and Maury Batik here again with another discussion, a conversation, a reaction to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 2, titled what, Maury?
Star Spangled Man? Star Spangled?
Star
Spangled?
Spangled Man.
I think so. I might be wrong.
We should know these things. Right, I'm doing this with no notes today.
That's the way we do it. We're coming in hot.
Yeah. So, tell me, Maury, what was your reaction, your initial reaction to this episode? I don't know if it's necessary that we walk through the entire episode because unlike
I don't think so.
WandaVision, these Falcon and Winter Soldier is action packed.
Yes.
Yes. Doesn't seem to be a lot of Easter eggs, but I think there was one major one.
Yeah.
That was dropped, and then some little smatterings, if you will, of other things. But for all intents and purposes, we're just watching these guys figure it out. Yes. So, what was your reaction?
Basically, exactly in line with what you're saying. Like, it's a different experience from WandaVision, and I know I keep referring back to that, but it's just that's kind of how we're going. Like, to your point, it's with WandaVision, even before the first episode came on, you knew you were going to have to be paying attention and digging for Easter eggs because there was already precedent that this was going to tie together different corners of the MCU and so forth. With Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it's more of a standalone story, seemingly, although there clearly are aspects and they're talking about other aspects of the MCU. But to me, the thing that has been the most impressive about it is the very subtle is not the right word because it's not subtle. If you're a black man, it's not subtle at all. And I just confirmed it literally before we got on here. There are black writers on this show, a significant amount of black writers on this show, like enough where they're talking about the black writers on this show. And I don't know how more evident it was than in this episode, with a scene taking place in Baltimore, freaking Maryland.
Yeah, I'm about to say, in Baltimore.
It was great. Yeah. That was good stuff. That was really good stuff.
Yeah. And let me jump right behind you on that one and say the first episode, we know he was trying to get a loan, was denied. And there was a lot of chatter about black man can't get a loan even though he works for the government, this, that, and the third, ha, 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 he. Come this episode, though, it's
they're
like,
doubling down on it,
he's being harassed. Yeah, he's getting harassed by the police, in very familiar fashion.
In a very familiar place.
Very familiar fashion. In a very familiar place.
Like the fact that they put him in Baltimore and Isaiah is in Baltimore, like that's significant. Yeah. Like if you're a black person, that is significant that they're in Baltimore, not any other city in America. They're in Baltimore. Like that's
Yeah. Baltimore is a city starved for resources. It is a city that once had, a thriving shipping industry, a thriving black community, and all that's been kind of left for dead and laid to waste. And the remnants are, low socioeconomic folks. Not to get too deep into that, but since we are in B-more now,
go
because, and just to kind of catch up on things, Bucky obviously everybody saw the TV, program, the news with the new Captain America. He couldn't stand it. He goes, the first place he goes to find Sam, who doesn't like it either. They go on some little mission together, which is very important, and they're the Flag Smashers.
Yes. Yep. Good call.
And they come into contact with these Flag Smashers and the new Captain America and his homeboy
Lamar Haskins.
Is not Haskins. They intervene in it all, but these Flag Smashers are enhanced. They are super soldier, or seemingly to have some of the super soldier serum. To what degree, I don't know, because I have some questions about that a little bit later. However, that being tied into where we started talking about with Isaiah in Baltimore, because they realize there are other super soldiers out there. Where did they get this stuff? Bucky knows something that Sam doesn't know, which is, hey, guess what?
Another one.
There are other super soldiers. Now, Um, this particular super soldier, it seems in the comic books there is a black Captain America who was the first Captain, not the first.
But yeah, he replaced Steve Rogers' first go round. Yep.
Right, and he fought. I want to say in the Korean War it was, but he was out there, and came into contact with Bucky, and they had quite a tussle, it seems, and Isaiah wasn't afraid to tell him he tried to rip his damn arm off,
or did,
tear it
or
off
rip
of him.
part of it off. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And he's still very hostile, very upset because of, again, going back to the realness of this episode. He was fought as a hero and came back to be mistreated, just like countless black soldiers were in World War II, the Vietnam War, and the Korean War. These soldiers went out there, they fought for the United States and came back and were still not treated as citizens, but they were citizen enough to go over there and risk their lives, which is no big secret in history. That's the way it happened, and this guy represented a lot of those sentiments. And he threw the damn, I don't know what it was, but he threw it into the wall. I was like, oh snap, this guy's still ready to rock.
Yeah, the significance is multi-layered, because you look at the fact that he didn't say that it wasn't that he was just mistreated. He was put in prison for 30 years,
right?
And experimented on for those 30 years. So immediately, I'm getting Tuskegee experiment type vibes, which was confirmed by the writers. They were trying to throw that in there. The whole idea, and it's kind of meta, that Sam is mad that he didn't know that Isaiah existed, and his anger represents our anger as I didn't know he existed either. Why I didn't know it was black. I actually have some of the comics of when Captain America first was replaced by a U.S. agent, which may pop up in the series. Bucky was a black dude for a hot second in the comics. There's some things that are rolling from the comics in this, and there's some things that weren't in the comics or in different parts of the comics that they're rolling. So I'm really liking how they do this, but it's better than the comics because they're able to roll in things that maybe you don't expect to read about in the comics, like the Tuskegee experiment or things like that. And for those who don't know, please Google it. I'm not going to go into it here, but it's serious stuff. The idea that it's in Baltimore also, again, layered, because Baltimore is where the U.S. got its independence. It is the start of the United States. So to have a black man who was treated poorly by the United States living in the city that started the United States, or I like the way they're playing with that. The city that's the heart of the Union. But
I got something more for you. It is also the place of Johns Hopkins Hospital, University. You also have the super gene, or I forget, super cells from Henrietta.
Yes, Henrietta Lacks.
What was her name?
Yep,
Lacks.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'm sure all that ties in.
Excellent
I'm
call.
sure all that ties in. If these folks, the writers, are thinking along those lines. I mean, Baltimore's a great place to pick because it checks a lot of boxes.
Yes,
if you're trying to address that, you're trying to amplify it, not make it the show, but say, hey, this is, this is a major point here that they're making. Right. So all that stuff. Henrietta Lacks, Tuskegee experiment, Star Spangled Banner, all that stuff. Captain America.
Red Glare, that was over Francis Scott Key, who wrote that Fort over the Fort McHenry. There we go.
The harbor. Yeah.
I know my history.
Yeah.
I know my history.
Good. I know a little bit too. So, moving on from that point, now we get into this new Captain America, who is not a super soldier, and who seems to have some personality traits that Steve Rogers did not.
He's kind of a douchebag.
And if and when he does get the serum, the serum is supposed to amplify what's already there. Remember. So some of these little character traits, some of these character traits are not going to play out well because this
like
guy's
steroids,
got a lot of,
man. There's a dark side to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's and his homeboy, I call him his homeboy, not because he's black, but that's because his
I'm
dude.
sorry, I'm getting straight Eddie from Ghostbusters vibe with him. Sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I know that's where they're going for, and you look just like Lamar Haskins in the comic book, so kudos to that, but it's hard.
They, he had to remind him that, you just can't do this, you just can't do that. You're Captain America now, because this guy obviously has a temper.
Right.
The way he was throwing the shield, not that Sam hasn't thrown it like that either. We've seen clips of it, but I mean, he's, I personally, it's hurt me in my gut that this guy has the shield. I
He
need him
pulled
not to
out
have the
a
shield.
45, dude, and shot somebody.
Yeah, shot somebody. I was like,
like,
but he also jumped out of the helicopter onto a moving
I'll give him that.
18-wheeler.
I'll give him that.
So I'm like, and his homeboy got, lowered down by a rope. So
Shout out to the actor that plays the not the head of the hand groups, but
old girl from Solo.
Yes. I saw her and like I'm like, oh, like and my brain, I'm like, oh, what did I turn on the wrong thing?
Yep. You know what I mean?
Like, wow.
Me and my son were watching. We were like, "Is that old girl?" I was like, "Nah." Then they went to like some little side shot, and I was like, "Dude, that's her."
The freckles, dude. The freckles. Freckles.
As we wrap this up, the Flag Smashers said they say that they're pissed, they're upset because the government cares more about the people that were gone instead of the people that stayed.
Yeah. Sounds like they're mad that people were allowed to come back after 5 years and pick up where they left off, which I can understand.
I mean, it's a catch-22, obviously, for those that left and those that remain. So that's going to play out kind of interesting as well. And yeah, so what type of medical supplies they had?
So that
truck
has me like I want to believe they're just medical supplies. I'm starting to believe they're more. The one Easter egg that was kind of blatant. They dropped the power broker's name. And he's clearly the person that texted old girl and was like, "You have something, or you stole something from me, and I want it back." In comic books, the power broker is exactly that. He gives criminals superpowers in exchange for like indentured servitude type, sharecropping type stuff. You know what I mean? You gonna give me a loan shark like cut of your profits so that you're forever tied to me. Yeah,
exactly. And the fact that the new Captain America showed up at that time,
I like where you're going. Like I could see him getting power from the power broker and they not being good because he's not a good person. Yeah, like I could see that being a storyline, which I believe was one of the comic book threads. But one of the things that I've really taken faith in with writers for these MCU TV shows is they're willing to mix it up and give you a little bit of what you expected, but also shake it up with something that you didn't. So I'm loving it.
Absolutely. Just like they did with Pietro in WandaVision.
Yes, which
they
is still not
resolved. They pulled that sucker back. Yeah, they pulled that sucker back. They were like, yeah, they got us real good. So I mean, that's it. In the next episode, I haven't watched the preview to it, but this one it isn't cloaked in mystery, if you will, but there's a steady build.
Yes.
I definitely see a steady build, and I'm cool with that. WandaVision was special. This is kind of bringing us back to some more of what we're used to as far as the MCU and how things started with the Iron Man or Captain America, and just steady character development.
They're even making fun of themselves because the running joke about it's one of the big three, and it's like that was on everyone's mind when this show came on. It's like, well, which one of the big three is this show going to be tackling? And now we know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with that, this is 3x5. I'm the 3. He's the 5. Christopher Mark, Maury Batik. We're giving y'all the deuces. For all y'all young people that maybe don't know, that just means peace. We out.
Peace.
We're about to finish things up. We'll see y'all next time. Next Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode. Peace.
Yeah.